Hello and welcome to I Want to Be a GM.com's Dice series. Today we're going to be dealing with initiative. I'm Boris, and with me,
I'm the Planescape guy. Also call me Troy.
yep, and we're going to get into 5th edition's initiative, some changes you can make to speed up the game, and how that looks.
So in 5th edition,
Mhm.
they have you do an algebra problem every time you want to roll initiative to see who's going to get to kill the monster. So you start with dice, and then you add modifiers to it, and you take modifiers from it. Every player at the table does it, and the DM does it for every monster.
Yeah, you end up with a long list. So I've got 6 players and 6 or more monsters. We're dealing with 12 separate initiatives.
Right? Not only is it a long list, but you have just wasted probably 10 minutes of game time. So if you have 5 rounds, that's a half an hour that you just ate up
Well,
of game time.
yeah, and the established list can also leave a player at the bottom waiting for their turn forever.
Well, and when you're at the bottom of the list, waiting for your turn forever, you never get to kill the monster because everybody has already done that. So you don't get to.
Yeah.
It can leave people out of a lot of things, and I don't like it for a number of reasons.
Well, that's where you've been using. We've got a method that involves a single D10, and we break everything down into groups, right? So we'll use a party initiative, and the DM will do a monster initiative. Walk us through that.
Yes. So, in the interest of speeding up everything
Mhm.
and keeping the flow of the combat moving along, because that's where the excitement of the game is, and everybody wants to keep that going. Kill the monster, get the money. So we'll break it down to a single die 10. So get out your one die 10. That's all you're going to need. Let's think of the table for a minute like we're playing poker. The person to the DM's left is going to be position number 1. And then the next is 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way around. The DM doesn't count on this. he's special. So the player position 1, we'll say Tifa over here is player position 1. And the DM, this is my screen, so I roll behind my screen. Roll for initiative, please. Well, that's not a 0, that's a 10. That's a 10. So monsters get to attack first. So we're going to move, cast our spells, shoot our arrows, rain death upon the player characters. All the monsters move, all the monsters do everything. Monsters are done. Now the person who rolled the dice, they start their attack however they want.
But they'll start for the party. So
They start for the party. Yes.
here's a couple keys. So lowest number goes first, party or monsters.
Yes.
And whoever in the party rolls the initiative starts that round. So round 1 will be position 1. They roll the D10, and they start the round. So next round, player in position 2 will roll the initiative and start the round for the players.
So Tifa, she attacks. Boris, he attacks. Now we have a new round. Initiative.
So, now, me being in position 2, I'll go ahead and roll initiative for the party. I rolled a 3.
Player characters get to attack first. Congratulations.
Rawr. Oops.
So they're going to attack the monster. Skeletons being what they are, they don't last too long. So now that monsters have to attack, we're just down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
We're outnumbered. But we're still going to attack. We're going to do our thing. And
Fight.
Fight. Chop. So you guys are still there. So we're going to do initiative.
Yep. Have to go back to the
back to the next player. Player characters get to attack first. So Tifa, she's gonna chop. Skeleton is
heroically defeated.
Nice. So you can see just in this simple little example, it speeds up
we've
the
taken
action.
A lot of the bookkeeping out of initiative and combat.
Completely gone.
And by adjusting the initiative by turn, you can flavor the combat differently. So now it's not a set turn order. Somebody's waiting forever. As the dice come around the table, your turn comes up quickly in the turn order.
Yes.
And this is going to allow your players to stay engaged with the combat, and you're not going to have to draw it out so long. Beyond all of those perks, there's another benefit to using this system, and this is the DM has the ability, through controlling the dice, to control the flow of the combat.
Above all else, remember the DM's purpose is the storyteller. You have a story. You're going to have some action in it.
Yeah.
You're going to have some romance in it. You're going to have some adventure in it. But when we get to the combat of it, it's a very integral part of the story.
Right.
So that combat is going to need to go one or two ways to keep the story moving. Either the monsters are going to die or the heroes are going to get killed or captured.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, that's not how you want it to go. You want it to definitely see some action and be afraid and know that the peril is real, but they need to move on to the next chapter. So to control the flow of the fight in keeping with the story, we'll show you how to use this simple D10.
Oh no, skeletons.
Roll for initiative.
7.
So,
What did Troy roll behind that screen?
well, behind the screen is mystery. Nobody knows. Now, if I want to control the game, I'm going to control the fight. I want the monsters to be defeated quickly. I'm going to let the party go back to back with attacks. And I'll show you why. Monsters won initiative. Monsters attack. Hiya!
So round
chop,
one,
chop.
first initiative, monsters win.
Monsters win. They attack. Player characters, now they do their attack.
So, and that's at the end of round one, we have attacked. Now it's next initiative.
Next initiative.
Oh man, they kicked our butts. I hope we get a good roll. I got a 10.
Oh, we need to re-roll that.
Yeah, okay. Much better. I got a 3 this time.
You guys win initiative.
All right.
You get to attack first. So I would hope that they would be able to easily defeat these 3 simple skeletons. And they saw some peril. They had some fun. They got little experience points and maybe found some gold. But they had a fight. And now we're moving on to the next chapter.
And so think about that a little bit as you present it to your players, right? Monsters, they deal some damage. You're like, oh man. Then they get to counter. So the players deal damage, and then the players deal damage a second time. They get to go twice.
Back to back.
And so the monsters, particularly in this example where we're dealing with lower end skeletons,
Yes.
they're gonna take the larger HP loss, and it's gonna help mitigate the danger to the players.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But you can do this.
Now, if you have a fight that for some reason you as the DM, demented mentality, want the fight to be drawn out. Perhaps you have a bad guy, he's got lots of minion, henchmen, and you know this is going to be a long fight. Well, when you're doing the initiative, roll for initiative.
All right. Got a 9.
I get to go first. Sorry.
Mhm.
To control the fight, to drag it out, we want the monsters, then PCs, monsters, PCs. We're going to alternate. We're going to stand here in each other's face and trade bruises until somebody loses. That fight is going to get drug out for many rounds. If we control it and we have every other fight, every other round, you fight, I fight. You fight, I fight. You fight, I fight. So if I need the monsters to die off quickly, I want the player characters to have 2 back-to-back rounds. Typically, that's all it's going to take. If the monsters are still there, do that again, back-to-back rounds for the player characters, and I guarantee you your monsters are going to be gone.
Yeah, even if if the encounter ends up being a little spicier than you expected, maybe you're outnumbered, there's too many goblins, you can mitigate the dice probability problem by going back to back with your players. They can kill more goblins. Now you've got less rolls to potentially damage them.
And it's going to keep the combat speeding up too.
Right.
Because everybody's rolling a die 10. Next thing you're doing, you're grabbing a die 20 and you're killing something. And everybody's having a ball.
Mm-hmm.
You'll run out of monsters and everybody's going to be, what do you mean it's already dead?
Look how awesome I am at level 2.
So keep that in mind when you're trying to control the fight. Remember, it's not to punish your players.
Right.
It's to control the story. So the battle is part of the story in some fashion. So that lets you control it.
Yeah, why are we defeating these orcs? Oh, well, it's because the orc leader has a scroll with some information on it the players need to have. Yeah. Well, I need him to be a little tougher, so maybe when they get down to him, it's alternating. But as goobers, the players are going to go back to back, and that way we can see he's got some goobers. We've got the guy that's important. We can have a fight that maybe taxes them just a bit, or at least shows that you're starting to get into those harder monsters, and then put that information into the player's hand to hopefully continue the story.
Now remember, all of these dice rolls have to be done behind the screen. You have to be slick about it. Oh, the DM never says what he rolls. Never says what he rolls. I just look at him and say, players win or players lose, or monsters go first, players go first. I never tell them what number I roll.
Well, so then here's the last way this works, and it's having the monsters go back.
Yes.
So if you've got that party that's just out there like, check out my shiny new plate mail, and I've got 700 potions of cure extra wounds, and I can fight whatever.
Remember, I mentioned that briefly a minute ago. We don't want to kill the party.
Well, ideally not.
We may want to capture them. You may have a bad guy that part of his plan is capturing one or more of the party. Well, or maybe fighting slavers, or the evil wizard in the mountain.
Alternatively, it could just be a method you use to tax some of your players' resources.
Yeah, take some magic item away from them. We've been using it, and just like laying waste to everything else you put in front of them. It's a way to do that. So these monsters, they capture him, they tie him up, and take all his stuff. He wakes up and is like, "Where are my underwear?"
Right.
You know,
or
everything else is gone.
You know that the next encounter is going to be pretty big, and you need to knock down some spell slots for your clerics or your wizards. And how they've used them, lightning bolt or some things on a group of monsters. Got their HP kicked down a little bit. They've had to use some potions, and now you're into the next fight. Yeah. Well, they're not going to be so strong now against your big bad if they've had to use their potions and taken some spell slots. So
if the monsters attack back to back twice in the same combat, I guarantee you your player character is going to have more respect for a group of goblins or orcs.
Oh yeah,
because they can have the potential for laying out a lot of damage, especially when they do it back to back, and the players are basically just standing there having to take it.
Yeah, it's in reverse, they think they're awesome because you've crushed the skeletons and I barely took a hit. But when it's coming at you, you can apply pressure to your party, and then so you maybe have a back-to-back round and then some alternating rounds. And when you start to get your party on the ropes is when you change back to letting the players go back-to-back and finish it off. Yep. You can change the dynamic of the fight to apply the pressure, build the action, and forward the story.
The story, yes. Keep the action in the story. The action has some reason for being there. Mm-hmm. So when they knock down that bad guy and they find a scroll on him that talks about his alliance with somebody, and that's why he's here in the first place, or they find a magic item that explains why they weren't able to cast something spell at him to do something.
Right.
Make sure your bad guys are structured to your story, and all of your encounters are structured towards that. And when you're running the combat, keep these things in mind. So when your players are fighting these guys, and they have more respect for some skeletons or some goblins, and then when they see some guy come riding in on a bugbear, they go, "We may want to just let this guy go."
Yeah, or we're gonna try. Maybe not gonna stand in front of him.
Yeah, you ask him for his license. I'm gonna go get a beer.
Oh yeah. So now we're gonna recap a little bit regarding the changes we're talking about. This D10 initiative system, and that's the big change right there. We get rid of the modifiers. We're gonna get rid of all the dice, and we're going to a D10, one roll, and that's by group. So party is a group, monsters are a group, and we've got several ways that one D10 initiative can be used by the game master to control the game and tell the story.
It speeds everything up. Each of the players get an opportunity to go first in the combat round, whereas the 5th edition's standard way of doing it Once the order for the combat is determined, you're stuck in that round
Yeah, the whole
order
encounter.
or that sequence until the next encounter.
Yeah.
So this breaks it up every time. So if you're 3 rounds, first guy, second guy, third guy, and the next combat you have, regardless of the same session or not, so the number 4 person would roll.
Right.
That way, every person gets an opportunity to go first.
That's a good mention. I think we forgot about that.
Yeah.
Keep moving around the table. So 1st
Mhm.
encounter, you go through 3 of your players. Next encounter, start at player 4 and 5. Everybody gets a chance.
Everybody gets a chance.
And so just keep going around the table with that as you're doing the group initiatives, and this will that ensures again the engagement and that everybody gets a chance to go first.
Yep.
And then on your side of the screen, keep an eye on how you need. Like, are your players getting defeated? Do you need these monsters to go down more quickly? You can refer back to our examples about, we're doing players back to back, alternating, or we're going to do monsters back to back, so we can get this combat to go the way we need it to. And then once the combat's over, we're going to move into the remainder of our story.
Yeah, the combat's just a chapter of the story.
Yeah.
So, you don't necessarily want to kill player characters, so keep that in mind. Yeah, you may want to injure them some so that they had a good story for later.
Mhm.
We saw some peril. We defeated the monsters. We got a great story. We got some treasure. But typically, it's the monsters that catch the bad end of that.
And this is just another method or another part of how we handle dice in our games. So if you haven't seen our other videos about why we roll behind the screen, how we're managing dice, and what that does for us as a game master, and for our players on the other side of that, be sure to check those out as well. As far as things to check out, you can always find us over here. You find us on YouTube at I Want to Be a GM. So if you found that this video was good information, please give us a like. And if you'd like more videos in this vein, as we get more into game mastery as a topic, go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well. And then you've got a few other places that they can find us.
We've got several other places we can find us. You mentioned briefly, I Want to Be a GM. That's .com. We also have Twitch, Discord, and here at YouTube. So we're all over the place. We also do Discord when we're live at different game stores in the area. And we'll broadcast Discord as well, so you can catch us on those. We also have a Facebook page, 417 DMs. You can go there. We have lots of free handouts that we give out for our classes. Oh, yeah, we do classes too, by the way. So you can get some of our free handouts there, 417 DMs on Facebook. And our big one is 417gamesandevents.com. It's an online calendar that has conventions, tournaments, all the fun that you always want to have when you go away for the weekend and play whatever your favorite game is. 417gamesandevents.com. Go there, subscribe. Don't miss your next favorite convention ever again.
It's the place to go when you want to find a place to
really like that.
So lots of ways to find the information, interact with us, and hopefully it's useful to you guys. Just remember, rule number 1, as long as you're having fun, you're not doing it wrong. So we hope this helps.
That's it. So this is Jester signing out. This is Planescape Guy Troy. We'll see you on our next video.
Have fun.